All of you, thank you so much for joining the webinar today. This is Civa Dwaki from MassMailer. Today, I'm going to talk about a brand new feature that we implemented in MassMailer. That's basically a sign-up form, including the options for the actual user to sign up for email communication. I know there's been a long pending feature. Finally, we got it there, and it's in 2.52, the latest patch. The latest patch is still not like pushed to all the clients. So it would be very soon we're going to push it to all our clients, provided you're on 2.52 version though. I just want to kind of give you a heads up on how this feature works. And there are some quicks that we have to fix, but that would be all good to go in the next patch or so. Which should be available sometime next week. But the feature is quite simple to understand. And I will go through very high level what it is and how this works, and then how to set up a sign up form. Okay. So basically, you all understand what a sign up form is. So if you would like to have some sort of a form on your website where users can sign up for a newsletter kind of a thing. And there are obviously different types of sign up forms that I'm going to go through. In a nutshell, you can basically publish this to your website, but the only thing is you have to work on the header and a footer though. And those things we can go through. And basically, whenever somebody signs up, it creates a lead record in Salesforce with the basic information like name, email address, and company name. Currently, we have only the basic fields that we would like to capture, but in the future, we may think of adding any custom fields though. So this sign-up form works only for the lead record, just to let you know, not for contact, not for any other objects. And basically what you're going to learn in this webinar, basically how to set up the sign-up forms and what type of sign-up forms are there and the URLs for these sign-up forms that you really have to hand over to your web developer. And this presentation would be available via email. I would be sending it to all of you. And we're also going to come up with an article and publish it. So that would be part of our support portal where you can actually look up, the instructions as well, and what is a URL format and stuff like that. So now the types of sign-up forms, and again, sure you all are aware that we have two types of unsubscribe feature, global and group. And the sign-up forms also would be unique when it comes to the way it works for each of them. So if you are just using global unsubscribe, that's okay. It's pretty simple. That's one type of sign-up form. And then if you're using the group unsubscribe feature, which means that the email preference center, we have two options under group unsubscribe. One, display all the preference centers, or display only one specific a preference center, like basically the preference center related to a specific group, right? And again, when I give you, when I actually demonstrate the actual sign-up form, you understand what it is. And please note that this is not a landing page. This is just meant for sign-up forms only. Landing page feature is going to be part of next release. And again, it would be sometime next year, most likely. Landing pages are different, even though there's going to be a sign-up form landing page, in which you can actually design the entire page versus the sign-up form. What we have here is only meant to capture the consent from the user if they want to subscribe to your email communication. And if you have any preference center, they can also opt in, opt out in that through that sign-up form. This is only for your contact page, if you want to have it, or a blog site, or wherever you want to have the sign-up form. That's what it's meant for. And this is not a preference page or something. We talked about the preference page in a different webinar where your customers can actually just go uncheck their preferences. That's completely different. This is just for new leads if you want to capture from your website and make sure that they also provide you a consent to subscribe to the emails that you're sending. That's what this is meant for. Okay. And visuals, very easy to understand. You have to enable fields, first name, last name, company, phone number, comments, and what is the button label. You can mention that. That is as simple as that when it comes to the actual form setting. And you have the header and a footer settings as well. We do display the default header and footer, which can be updated if you want to enter them here. And you can have your the web developer give you the header and footer with all the HTML snippet. It should not be full HTML. It should be just a script like HTML, part of HTML that is meant for header and a footer. That can be entered here. And also the consent label. And I'll show you what it means. That's for the global. And same thing for group. You would basically have the header and a footer settings as well for the group, or else you can use the default one. And how does this URL would look like? And again, I'll show you where you need to get this MassMailer site URL. Basically, all these URLs would actually start from that. And that's the event notification URL. That would not change in Salesforce once you set it up, unless you change your domain. That's pretty much is going to be static. And then you would have the extra part of the URL that is MassMailer group unsubscribe. Even though it says group unsubscribe, that's okay. It works for all of them. And you just have to follow this notation. Q equals to ampersand global sign up yes and sign up form yes. And then same thing, if you want to display all preference centers, then you would just say preferences all, and then sign up form yes. And then if you want to display one preference center, you can pick up any group ID. It doesn't need to be like, it's not a preference center ID, it's a group ID. So as long as you provide any of the group IDs in that preference center, we display that preference center option for the end user. So it's basically there's only one parameter that you have to play with, and rest of the URL is always going to be the same. So you basically either say global sign up yes, or preferences all, or ID equals to this. Based on what parameter you're passing, we display the respective options for the user. That's all what you have to do. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you how this looks in Salesforce. So again, if you have Salesforce admin access and MassMailer admin access, sorry, you would go to the MassMailer setup and tracking settings. Once you're in tracking settings, there's a page, the section that we came up with for the sign up form settings. And you can see these are all default active. We're going to make a little bit change here. We're going to add required field as well. That way you can toggle required, not required for some of them where you have flexibility. And what is the name of the actual button that should appear. And then for the global and group, we have two different sections. Basically you got to put the header and a footer in both these places. It's just going to be a tiny HTML section, tiny HTML snippet that you can get from your web developer based on how you want this to be appearing. And then there's a additional step, or rather the label that you have to mention here for the global. Again, we would have the default one here, but if you want to change it, you can also change this based on how you want this to appear. Now I'm going to go in the URL. The URL is going to start with this. So you would have your own unique URL. So if you want to really form the actual URL for the say, let's just go with the top one. This is for global. All you're going to do is pick this, right? And then once you have the site URL, you just have to copy paste that. And again, we will have an article, so it is going to be very clear on what it needs to be. Once you have that, if you basically enter that, basically if you give this link to your web developer, they can plug this into your website. Once you have the header and a footer, everything is matching. Right now, we don't have the color option. I think it's just the default color right now. We can certainly, modify this or enhance this, or we can tell you how to change the color for the buttons as well. So as you can see, as a default header that can be changed as well. And there's no footer right now, but you can also add whatever footer that you needed. So basically, you assume that somebody is going to enter these values. As you can see, the email, last name, and company, these are required by Salesforce. So we made them mandatory, and rest are not required by Salesforce. So those are optional, but we may want to give an option for you to make them mandatory as well. That is going to be an enhancement. We are working on it any case, so that would be updated. So let's just assume somebody comes in here and they enter their email address and give you their last name and the company name and the phone number and comments and submit. So there's a little problem that we noticed, but assume that they can sign up like this, right? And by default, we're going to enable this in the next patch, and you will see that opt-in, opt-out option as well. So basically assume that somebody is filling out this form and submit. What it should do, it basically should create a lead in Salesforce. So I'm going to go back to Salesforce here. I'm just going to go open. Lead. Okay, so all right. Just brought this up, and demo one is the one that I just created. So it basically created a lead, and then this is like a global unsubscribe option that we have. So it did not check the email opt-out because I opted into the emails. And again, so whatever issues that we found, we're going to fix them, but this is how it actually works. Very simple. All you're doing is just enter the first name, last name, and the email address, and that's pretty much it, right? And the lead status also would be default, so we're not doing anything there. The lead status, so whatever the configuration that you have, that's what it's going to be. And if you want to convert this lead to something else, that's up to you. And if you want to do a lead response, that's again, you have to create a flow to, send out an email response. All of that is basic Salesforce thing. So we're not really touching. All we do is just creating a lead and creating a suppression record if they do not want to hear from you, right? So that's for the global unsubscribe. And then for group, and I'll go back to this. And all we have to do is change this, right? So we're going to go have a different form that comes up, right? So I'm only going to change that part in the URL. Now it's actually bringing all the preference centers. So my email have like my demo instance got so many preference centers like this, and it's showing all of them because I basically opted for all preference centers, right? And that's why it's showing. And let's say you don't want to like receive emails. By default, they are opting in to everything. If they want to opt out from something, they have to uncheck. So basically, by default, we want the opt-in for everything. And they have an option to opt out like this, right? And again, they would be entering their email address here. And then submit. So what we did, we opted out from this email type, the band 1 group 2, and I will just go submit. And this should basically create a lead for us. So I'm going to go query and forgot what name I gave. This one, I think. And it created a suppression record, as you can see here. And this is a suppression. And because I opted out from that specific group, it created a suppression record for me, right? And that's how it works, so that you would have that consent from the user if they want to opt in or opt out. And the same thing for the last one. So if you want to actually display a specific preference center, here we don't maintain preference center ID, so we rely on the actual group ID. And again, if you are not familiar with that, I'm going to show you what it is. So I basically passed in this ID, and that's stored in Salesforce. I'll show you where it is. It's going to display only the preference center related to that. And if I then go back and enter my name there, just say 3, and I opted into this, and I'm going to opt out just to showcase. So if I opt out and I submit, and again, it's supposed to create a lead here. So test is the lead list, and demo 3, and I have a suppression record that is created. And if I go to this group unsubscribe, you can see that I actually opted out from marketing. And that's for the group unsubscribe. And now if you wonder, what is this group unsubscribe? If you're not familiar with that, again, it's under tracking settings. There's a section where we display all the groups that you have. And if you have not created any group, it's very easy. You just have to give a preference center name, right? An example, I'm just going to say my demo preferences and save this. And you would enter the specific groups, group 1 and group 1. You don't need to give the URL. If you want to display them in some sort of like a tile form, you can add the images, the logo. So that's how you create your preference center and the groups underneath. And where do you actually find this ID is here. So you would go to your unsubscribe groups, and every unsubscribe group here does have an ID. So if I display all, you would find this group ID. And this belongs to a specific preference center. So the one that we just created, my demo preferences, is the preference center that I created, under which we have 2 groups, group 1 and group 2, and each one of them would have their own group ID. You can pass either one of these group IDs, it doesn't matter. And then we're going to bring up everything related to the preference center. The reason is we don't maintain ID for preference center at this time. So group ID should be okay. And I don't think that that should be an issue at all. So that's what it is. If you actually want to use this demo preferences, let's just go back here, and I would change this ID, right? And I would just go enter. That basically brings up my the group. Okay, my bad. So there's a little bit of work that we need to do. So we are supposed to display both groups here. Seems like there's an issue there, but we're gonna fix that. This is a working feature. We still have a few more things to be wrapped up and give you the final patch. But again, so I think you understand what I mean. So you basically have to like find out what that group ID is, and that would be displaying all the groups related to that particular preference center. And then here, users would sign up and submit. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's nothing complicated. You have to involve your website developer or Salesforce admin for sure. They can actually build this for you. But it's not complicated. It works pretty well. Once we finalize everything, the patch and everything, you should have a working sign-up form. I know you may want this to be in an iframe. I don't know what all features that people would like to have, but we have a few customers that are already using this on a pilot basis, and we are kind of fixing or changing, enhancing this feature based on the feedback that we're getting from them. If you would like to use this feature, it's live for group unsubscribe. For global, we are getting it in the next patch. But feel free to raise a support ticket if you would like to use this feature, and we can certainly help you out, and we can collect your feedback and enhance anything that we need to enhance for this feature, right? So basically, just want to iterate that it only captures leads, but not any other objects or records, meaning no contacts and no other custom objects, just for leads. And then you can auto verify email. We don't do the verification by default. If you want to auto verify, you can do that. That's auto valid. Like, I'm not talking about ill-formed email address. That is fine, but I'm talking about whether email address is valid or not valid. Meaning it would bounce or doesn't bounce, for which you have to use MassMailer verification, the flow action that would auto validate and then like create a verification record and puts it in suppression if it's invalid. So that you have to do it separately. And then again, the same thing, the lead response is something that you have to create your own. Again, you can use Flow, and very simple to do that. Your team can help you out if you have an admin. So that's basically three things that you really need to understand and make sure that you get that done by your team if needed. But otherwise, like using the sign-up form is pretty easy. Nothing complicated as such. Any questions, anyone? If you can please type in. There's a Q&A box. Any questions, anyone? Okay, seems like no questions. Once again, thank you so much for joining the webinar today. This is Civa Dwaki once again. You can reach me anytime on my email, phone number, or even the company email. This is a weekly webinar. Try doing it at 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you're new to MassMailer, feel free to install, get on a trial. We can help you. Again, looking forward to meeting you in the next webinar. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a good day. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.